And finally, the last game at 11 o'clock, we got Tulsa traveling to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State will be favored by 11.5 points in this game on FS1. Let's start with Tulsa. They did not have the best start to the season. Actually, I don't think you could have a much worse start to the season. They lost 19-17 to UC Davis, FCS team, by the way. Their quarterback went 15. Davis Brin went 15 to 28. Threw for 201 yards. Threw for 2 picks, no touchdowns. Deneric Prince had 14 carries for 151 yards and a touchdown. So if you're looking at the bright side of that game, Deneric Prince broke out, had a great game. Kalen Stokes looked pretty solid through the air, 4 receptions, 95 yards. 6 players, to be honest, were suspended from the bowl game fight against Mississippi State. In the Armed Forces Bowl, if you did not watch that game, Tulsa and Mississippi State had a huge fight at the end of the game. Mississippi State largely were the aggressors, and I don't even think any of them were suspended. Gotta love Mike Leach just simply not giving any craps about what his players do off the field and if they're absolute losers and try to hurt and kick Tulsa players or not. But of those 6 players, 4 of them started out to be starters. They had safety Tyneal Martin. You had a linebacker named Trevon Reeves. You had another linebacker named Justin Wright, and an offensive lineman named Tyler Smith. So obviously you get all 4 of those players back for this game, which could be a big difference for Tulsa. Now, Oklahoma State started out the season with a win, but it was a barn burner, which not many people expected, against Missouri State. Ended up only winning that game 16-23. Now, to be fair, their starting quarterback Spencer Sanders was out with COVID, so they had to go with Shane Illingworth, who did not have a bad day by any means. He went 22 of 40, threw for 315 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. The problem with this team that I have seen so far is the fact that Chuba Hubbard was such a huge part of their offense last year, and the fact is you're going to have to rely on a lot of Spencer Sanders obviously this year, but the fact is they don't have a ground game anymore. L.D. Brown was their leading rusher. He only ended up having 15 carries for 30 yards and a touchdown, which means your leading rusher only averaged 2 yards per carry, which is just not good. It's the worst you could possibly. It is so bad. It's not a good thing to have on the ground. Tay Martin had a good day through the air. He had 6 receptions, 107 yards, and a touchdown. You're going to have to do that to replace Dylan Stoner and they lost another receiver that was really good last year. I don't remember his name. Fact is, Tulsa has not done the best against Oklahoma State in the past. Obviously, Oklahoma State is 43-28 against Tulsa. So obviously, Tulsa is actually holding the series somewhat close for a Group of 5 team. But Oklahoma State has a 8-game win streak, which is just not ideal if you're Tulsa. I honestly would give Tulsa a chance to win this game if they did not look absolutely horrible against UC Davis. But that makes me just favor Oklahoma State even more. I do think this is going to be a close game. Just the fact is Tulsa gets back 4 starters, and that means a lot regardless. And the fact is Oklahoma State relies a lot on the passing game and not on the ground game, which could free up the linebackers to do some more in coverage. I expect Oklahoma State to win this game, but Tulsa to cover.